population of the greater sage-grouse has decreased from about 16 million birds to under 500,000 just in the last 100 years. Why has it decreased? Well, the habitat for the sage-grouse has been destroyed by infrastructure due to energy development. The infrastructure includes roads crisscrossing the landscape, light pollution, noise pollution. All of this has decreased the habitat of the birds, and the birds are not thriving. Well, why is this a problem? Why should we care about these birds? You, as an oil company, depend on this land. You depend on the resources you can extract from the earth. Excuse me. If you are unable, this decrease in the sage-grouse has led to a widely contested debate as to whether or not the sage-grouse should be listed on the endangered species list. If the sage-grouse is listed on the endangered species list, there will be so much red tape and restriction on this land that your company will no longer be able to drill. If you are no longer able to drill, your profits will decrease, and the economy of the states that you are operating in will take a significant hit. I'd like to thank you for inviting us back to discuss this problem in further detail. I'm Kaylee, this is Braden, and this is Ryan.
We at Square State Consulting have realized this issue of infrastructure deteriorating the ecosystem in the sage-grouse habitat. However, we also see from a company's perspective, you as a company are losing jobs and also money in your pocket. And we want to combat this issue with a win-win, both for your company and the environment. Today, we'll look at this solution from a three-pronged solution. This will be coming from our Cowboy Code of the West. So the three solutions are lobbying for core area strategies, alternate drilling strategies, and being sustainable for the future. Like I said, we're going to be using the Cowboy Code of the West, which is directly related to our Western values here at Square State Consulting. There are 10 Cowboy Code of the West, we'll be looking at 3. We know that some things aren't for sale. When you make a promise, be tough but fair, and when you make a promise, keep it.
First, let's discuss how the principle, remember something's not for sale, can be applied to Square State Consulting's first recommendation. Our first recommendation is that your oil company lobby for a core area strategy. The core area strategy was implemented in Wyoming at a time when this bird was being considered to be on the endangered species list. Wyoming recognized this threat. They knew if this bird was listed, their economy would take a huge hit and it would never recover. So they essentially identified where are the areas that this bird is thriving. They took those areas that the bird was doing very well and designated them as core areas. The core areas are heavily restricted, but they are available for some use, but they're kind of a last resort. The remainder of the land was designated as a non-core area. These non-core areas are given preference when companies apply for permits. We suggest that you show your support for this type of plan in your state. We also recognize some companies may be lobbying for less restrictive plans, but we see this plan as the most sustainable option for both your company, your profits, and the environment. We suggest remembering the principle, remember some things are not for sale when lobbying. There is this connotation that lobbying is perhaps buying a vote or buying an opinion, but we suggest that you go to your legislators and you propose this plan because it is the best solution for everyone involved. So just remember, as you are implementing this recommendation, to have this principle at the forefront of your mind.
In addition to remembering that some things are not for sale with lobbying for core area strategy, Square State Consulting's second solution is to implement alternative drilling strategies. When we look at the Cowboy Code, be tough but fair, because it's really it's a tough issue. Drilling in the West with the environment, it's got a bad connotation. So it's tough. You have to be tough. You have to get those resources from the ground. But you also have to be fair to everyone involved, to all stakeholders. You have the duty to be honest and transparent with all stakeholders. So you have to be tough but fair. If you look in page 5 of your booklet, it'll give you a little bit of a understanding of these alternate drilling strategies, give you a little visual and a picture of what they are. First off, horizontal drilling. It's an ethical alternative and an ethical solution because you're drilling down and then out rather than just the directional drilling traditionally. And what this does is it creates less drill pad surface area on the above the ground, and which means that it's less roads, less infrastructure, they need less infrastructure to go in and get these resources out. So that means less fences, less power lines, so the birds can really thrive in these areas that even if they're drilling, the birds are still able to survive. The second one is cluster drilling. It does roughly the same thing ethically. It's just a little bit different way of looking, of drilling and getting the resources from the ground. It's more of a, there's multiple drills going down rather than drilling out. But again, does the same thing where there's less drill pad surface area, less infrastructure, and more area for the birds to thrive. Our other solution is to, at all costs, just go around these core areas like Kaylee was talking about. Just drill around them and go around them. You may be taking a little bit of a hit financially initially. However, we believe that if you go around them and you do this in an ethical manner, that it will create longevity of your business and lead to long-term profits. Creating this be tough but fair mentality will ultimately bring you to will bump up your company culture and will give you that brand that all stakeholders will be in support of.
Lastly, let's talk about the value of when you make a promise, keep it. Why is this important to you as a company? Well, when you make a promise, you have to realize the stakeholders at large. There's many people involved. There's your employees, there's your residents in your state, and there's also the when you make a promise, you have to keep it, because this issue right now is allowing jobs to be lost, money in people's pockets to be lost, and we at Square State Consulting do not want that. We want the best for both the bird and your company, both financially and in the long term. However, there is also a promise that you have to keep within your company that you're going to do the right thing, because, like Braden said, the longevity of your company is very important. If you make a promise now, it doesn't have to be something huge. It's just getting a step forward, because 20 years from now, for generations to come, we want to be able to extract this oil, extract this money out of the ground, but also be able to have these birds prosper, and maybe not 400,000 birds 20 years from now, maybe 800,000 birds. So we, as Square State Consulting, recommend when you make a promise, go out there and do it. Don't just say it. You have to keep it and move forward from that. Implementing this value into your company culture is very important, because it holds your company to a higher accountability, and it also allows your company to act with integrity.
Now that we've discussed the three solutions, let's recap what we've talked about. The stakeholders, involved are the oil companies, being yourself, who have the stake in the ground. They have an obligation to the other stakeholders, being the citizens of your state. And the third stakeholder is the bird themselves. And the problem that we discussed is trying to find the balance between energy development and ethically keeping these birds around for generations to come. We took a three-pronged approach through our Cowboy Code of the West values, that being remember that some things aren't for sale. Square State Consulting urges you to think about that some things aren't for sale when lobbying for core areas in your respective state. The second was to be tough but fair, and thinking about this when implementing alternative drilling strategies and being sustainable for the future. And the third was to, when you make a promise, keep it, keeping in mind for sustainability for the future, and being proactive for all generations to come. So all three of these go into your company culture, and really that's what it boils down to. It comes down to creating this ethical environment that you can come back and be transparent with all your stakeholders, and having them know that your values are not in question. So thank you for having us back again. We look forward to seeing you next, and we'll just leave you with the question, how do you want to leave your legacy? Thank you very much.
I think you all deserve huge credit. It's difficult.